Have you ever considered what truly defines a brilliant mind? Our usual ideas about highly intelligent individuals might be completely off the mark. Often, we picture someone with a soaring IQ as an obvious genius, always vocal, solving complex equations, or demonstrating vast knowledge. However, psychological studies reveal a very different picture. True high intelligence often manifests through subtle behaviors that aren't immediately recognizable. In fact, many cognitive experts argue that intelligence isn't just about what facts you've accumulated, but rather how your brain processes the world around it. This unique processing style frequently appears in a set of distinct, everyday habits. Today, we're exploring 10 common traits of people with exceptionally high IQs. The first intriguing habit is their tendency to spend considerable time in solitude. These individuals are perfectly comfortable being alone. It's not due to a dislike for others, but because their minds are constantly engaged in deep thought and processing complex ideas. This quiet time allows their prefrontal cortex, the brain region crucial for planning and reflection, the necessary space to function optimally. Research from the London School of Economics even indicates that highly intelligent people often find less satisfaction in frequent social interactions than their peers. Their brains simply have a profound need for uninterrupted periods of contemplation and quiet analysis. Moving on to the second notable characteristic, an insatiable and persistent curiosity. Individuals with high IQs are constantly questioning everything. This isn't limited to grand philosophical concepts. It extends to the most mundane, everyday occurrences. They might ponder, why do people act this way? Yachts, or how does this particular system operate so uniquely? Their minds are naturally driven to seek out patterns and understand the underlying mechanics of all phenomena. This inherent drive to understand pushes them to constantly inquire, searching for clarity in every aspect of life. Beyond their inquisitive nature, highly intelligent individuals often find less satisfaction in frequent social engagements compared to others. Their sophisticated cognitive systems thrive on periods of quiet introspection, allowing their complex thought processes ample room to operate. A third common trait is the tendency to engage in self-talk, which might initially strike one as an unusual behavior. Psychologists refer to this phenomenon as self-directed speech, an internal or external monologue that aids cognitive function. Research indicates that conversing with oneself can significantly enhance focus and refine cognitive control, improving mental organization. This practice helps the brain structure thoughts more effectively and bolsters the capacity of working memory, making it a productive habit. Therefore, observing someone silently articulating their thoughts could actually signal a highly active and efficient cognitive system at work. Another characteristic is a comfort with openly admitting, "I don't know," acknowledging the limits of their current understanding. Individuals with superior intelligence often possess a keen awareness of their own intellectual boundaries and the scope of their knowledge. This contrasts with the Dunning-Kruger effect, where those with less expertise tend to overestimate their capabilities. Instead, very intelligent people grasp the immense complexity of the world and the vastness of what remains unknown. The fifth habit involves an inclination to meticulously analyze even minor details in situations, often perceived as overthinking. Their analytical minds rarely cease processing, constantly dissecting information, conversations, or future possibilities in great detail. While this intense internal exploration might sometimes be perceived as indecisiveness, it represents a brain actively modeling multiple outcomes. Finally, a strong sense of humor stands out as a sixth trait, interestingly demanding intricate cognitive processes for its creation and appreciation. Research in intelligence journals has actually demonstrated a clear link between a higher IQ and a more sophisticated understanding or creation of humor. The seventh characteristic is a willingness to alter their perspectives when confronted with compelling new information. These individuals often view their beliefs not as unchangeable truths, but as adaptable mental frameworks. Consequently, their minds readily adjust and refine these internal models whenever fresh data becomes available. Psychologically speaking, this capacity is known as cognitive flexibility, a crucial indicator of superior problem-solving skills. Yet, it's worth pausing to consider how frequently we misinterpret these very traits in others. For example, an individual who prefers solitude might be incorrectly labeled as antisocial. Similarly, someone who probes deeply with numerous questions could be perceived as merely cynical, and a person who revises their opinion might be mistakenly seen as indecisive or wavering. However, these behaviors often signal a more profound and complex mode of thought at play. The eighth common habit observed is a tendency towards intense mental activity during the late hours of the night. A significant number of highly intelligent people consistently report feeling more cognitively alert and productive after dark. Drawing from evolutionary psychology, some researchers suggest higher cognitive flexibility helps individuals adapt to non-traditional patterns, like staying awake later. Moving on, the ninth characteristic is a preference for careful observation over extensive verbal communication. They often choose to absorb their surroundings and gather information rather than dominating conversations. Behaviors are often misinterpreted. A preference for solitude, for instance, might be mistakenly labeled as antisocial. Likewise, an individual who frequently poses questions could easily be perceived as overly skeptical or even challenging. And someone who is open to changing their viewpoint might be seen as uncertain or lacking conviction. Yet these seemingly unusual characteristics are often profound indicators of much deeper and more complex thought patterns at play. This leads us to the 10th and final habit: an unceasing, inherent search for meaning in all aspects of life. High intelligence frequently brings with it a heightened awareness of the intricate complexities within society, relationships, and human behavior. This expanded understanding naturally prompts deeper introspection about one's purpose and individual identity. It drives a continuous quest to comprehend how people ultimately make sense of their existence and the world around them. This search for meaning isn't always expressed through dramatic philosophical debates or grand declarations. More often, it quietly manifests as a persistent, underlying question in the back of the mind. A question like, why do we think and perceive the world in the specific ways that we do? Ultimately, the most fascinating aspect of intelligence extends far beyond merely solving equations or memorizing facts. At its very core, true intelligence is fundamentally about an insatiable, boundless curiosity. It's a mind that relentlessly explores new patterns, challenges ingrained assumptions, and strives to understand the strange, compelling puzzle of human nature. Reflect on these insights, consider how they resonate with your own experiences, and subscribe for more explorations into the intricacies of the human mind.